So can you perhaps give us some examples of cases where units of analysis are, have been particularly relevant to projects and where mistakes have been made, or where particularly insightful choices have come through?
Let me talk first about qualitative units of analysis. Units of analysis can be quantitative, i.e. things that you count and you have to define them, or they can be qualitative, that is to say that they're basically things that human beings recognize as being different within a particular culture at a particular time. Let's talk about the qualitative because they're a little more difficult. There was a very interesting example some years ago in the marketing of electric drills. The Black & Decker company used to sell drills to do-it-yourself, home-making kind of people, you and me. Grey drills that you use to make holes in the wall and fix things and all that stuff. And they were great drills, lasted forever. I was given one when I got married, and I've still got it working today, many years later. So great product and great market. And there came a point in history where the Black & Decker company decided that it would like to also sell drills to professional builders. And they focused on professional builders who were self-employed, and those guys would buy their own tools. So the target market was the professional builder. And Black & Decker knew that the drill was functionally excellent and as good as anything else that a professional building operative could buy. And you'll find the details of this in a well-known Harvard Business School case study on Black & Decker. And so the unit of analysis of what is the performance of the drill detected no difference between Black & Decker and the competitors it was trying to attack in the marketplace. Then they started to do some qualitative research about how builders felt about tools. And roughly, the building trade then was a very masculine business, and these guys were very sensitive about their appearance. So it turned out they didn't like to carry something that looked amateur, homemaking, simple kind of stuff. So the unit of analysis didn't become how well the drill performed, it became how well the drill was perceived by builders. And it turned out to please the builders, you had to give it a different brand name from Black & Decker. And Black & Decker did some research and found a brand name that a lot of people recognize, which hadn't produced a product for about 30, 40 years, but it had a good name, so they bought that name. Next thing they wanted to do was to make it look very different from a grey tool. So they picked a rough, tough, warning danger signal and made the tool black and yellow. And the brand name they picked was DeWalt, which had only ever previously, I think, made saws or something like that. And the product was launched. And there is one very interesting feature of the product launch. Black & Decker is a company that always sold drills to people like you and me, homemakers in millions, using very impersonal methods of marketing, television advertising, selling through large retail stores. They never actually talked to a customer, not to a drill user anyway, effectively. And one small part of the Black & Decker launch program was to have a thing that they called a Wolfpack. And a Wolfpack was simply a van full of people who would drive around building sites, from building site to building site, and they'd stop at a building site and come out and show people the new tools, the new DeWalt tools. And they didn't try to sell them. They simply showed them. And then they drove on. And I guess a few people did try them, but they certainly weren't selling, and not everybody was even trying them.
Sure.
These Wolfpacks are a very strange thing to understand for a mass consumer product distribution company. It isn't the natural way they do it. You know, this is how Avon sells perfumes and how Tupperware sells plastic boxes, you know, by person-to-person demonstration. They're doing person-to-person demonstration and not even trying to sell the product. You know, imagine Amazon doing that for a product that's on their catalog. So why did Black & Decker decide to do this face-to-face demonstration without selling of the drills? The Harvard case study doesn't explain this, and it doesn't even discuss it, but no company would ever do something as radically new to them as this, I believe, without research. And I believe that their research must have identified a new qualitative unit of analysis. And that was the reference group that a builder say they consult before they would buy a completely new product. And I'm guessing that builder after builder after builder, small builder guys, small tradesmen, said, I wouldn't buy it unless I'd touched it and seen it. I wouldn't buy it unless my foreman recommended it. I wouldn't buy it unless my best friend or one of my friends had told me. And if you can imagine getting research like that, this is a completely new unit of analysis for a company that sells through retail distributors. And the research must have shown this was a major inhibitor. So what Black & Decker did was two things. They firstly had Wolfpacks as part of their initial process of launching the product.
Yeah.
And after the first few months, when the product was becoming clearly quite successful, what did they do? They doubled the Wolfpack program. So whatever the test process did, it was a test of Wolfpacks, and the Wolfpacks passed the test. Going around building sites without selling drills actually kind of worked.
Yeah.
And you might ask yourself, well, why would it work? Why would they not sell them? Well, the answer is quite simple. If you don't sell any drills, you don't waste time selling, you don't upset the builders by making them feel they're being persuaded about something, and if you don't sell drills, there's no accounting to do, and you don't need any spare stock. You can just move rapidly from building site to building site. So the whole way the Wolfpack operated was to optimize the rate of showing drills to people. Now that's at the level of one builder's process, but there's something quite interesting about these reference group networks, because builders move from site to site. Buildings don't last forever. They're constantly being reshuffled.
Sure.
So what's going to happen is, beyond a certain time, the reference group of builders who've all tried a DeWalt tool is going to be growing virally. It's going to be growing exponentially. And that's the time where you imagine that the Wolfpack becomes obsolete. That's when they would have cancelled it.
Yeah. So just jumping in, that the way you're describing that this unit of analysis might be described simply as the thing you're focusing on in order to understand the problem or make your decisions. I mean, I'm struggling for another phrase to.
Well, I think the key thing is to understand that the research told them something they didn't expect and didn't have a previous way of dealing with. I won't buy it unless I've seen it. And their way of dealing with that is to say, okay, this is a new universe. I've got to do something different. I've got to sell drills by not selling them.
Sure.
To separate the process from demonstrating them from selling them. So basically, unexpected finding from research, fundamental rethink away from the business model they had always used, and then a temporary reliance in the launch phase of a mode of business that wasn't even a mode of business. It was simply demonstration only.
Yeah.
And all of that is very radical and very unexpected. And basically, any MBA consulting student group should be willing to encounter a situation like that, to be told things they don't expect, things that don't make any sense inside the present business model the client is using, and then to innovate powerful ways for the client to exploit exactly what that information is unexpectedly telling them.
So again, the unit of analysis is the thing that you're focusing your attention on, and in this case it's a new unit of analysis, so it's a different way of looking at the particular business situation from the conventional ways of looking at it,
Yep.
the conventional sense of what is important and what you need to measure.